So now we're sailing. We're leaving Ipoh of Indonesia, which is actually cool because we're actually quite close. We just got, we're running. We just run to the boat, dude. We're getting on the rabbit rowboat. I know it's small, and there's a lot of us. But there's a bunch of lefties chasing us through the streets. Just run, run, run. Luckily, they're left-handed, so they keep turning left at every block. They keep getting lost. However, eventually, they will catch up to us. Get on the boat, get on the boat. Now, this time, I've reconfigured the rabbit rowboat. It's the same rowboat, but now it just has a little Jolly Rogers, a little skull and crossbones on it. Anyways, as we get it all in the boat, we start rowing away very slowly. The left-handed people do catch up to us because they can wade in 3 feet of water. They beat us up, but we still won't be deterred because we have a mission. We have to go find the legendary island of Libertatia, or Libertatia. We'll call it Libertatia. So, this was requested by a YouTube user named Weiselhorn. Said, hey, check out the story of Libertatia. I was like, I will. So we're going back to the 17th century, so we're going to row 88 miles an hour in this rowboat, which I'm sure is possible. If you can go down a river blindfolded in Bird Box, we can row 88 miles an hour in the real world. We row, we go through a time portal. Bing! Back in time. Middle of the ocean. Probably should have planned it better. We're out there for maybe about an hour or two. I'm already checking out which one of you has the most muscle tissue on you, because I'm getting a little hungry. I'm like, I might eat that person. But before I can, a huge pirate ship comes up alongside of us, sneaks up on us somehow, and they're like, ahoy, mateys, what are you doing? And we're all black and blue from our fight in Indonesia, and he's like, oh, it looks like you guys had a bad tussle with some left-handed people, and I'm like, yeah, you don't know the half of it. And they let us get on board. And the captain of the ship is James Mission. We're like, hey, James? He's all, call me Jimmy. And then we meet a priest named Signor Caracioli. We're just going to call him the priest from now on, by the way. But anyway, so we asked James, hey, what's going on? And he's like, well, no, I'm not going to do that voice all the time. So James explains to us that he used to not be the captain of the ship. The ship had a previous captain, and the captain died, as will happen on pirate ships in the 17th century. But when he died, and the ship was out in the middle of nowhere with no captain, the priest that they had picked up along the way, he had a vision of a new world. And him and James became close friends when James was just like the first mate or the first matey on the boat. And the priest was like, you know what, there's a better way to live. We can live as a commune where everyone has a voice, everyone has a vote, everyone does the work that's needed to provide for the community, and everyone gets rewarded the same in return. James is like, it sounds a little socialistic, but, maybe we'll give it a try. That might actually be a good way to run a pirate ship. So, when the captain died, at this point, James had been told all this stuff by the priest, and he was telling the other men on the boat. Now, they didn't have a lot of time. The boat's sailing in the middle of nowhere. They got no captain. They need someone to make decisions. But I imagine this rousing speech, like, we are all the same. Remember what the priest just said about all that stuff that I don't want to repeat? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, we should do that. Everyone has a vote, and we work as a group. And they're like, yeah. So anyways, they're sailing along. Now the guys go, that is a good idea. So they vote to make James captain. So now you have Captain Mission, and he is the captain of the ship. The boat goes on, and they're thinking, you know what? And what's interesting about this is that now he's captain. He wasn't making unilateral decisions. He would come up with a plan and then put it to a vote. And other people could come up with plans as well. But they're still a pirate ship at their core. So they're like raiding other ships, blowing people up, stealing their booty. But then they come to a ship, and they're like, attack it, ching, 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 shooting the cannons, muskets, loading it, aiming it. Okay, now I gotta load it again. 2 minutes of this. Oh no, I dropped my black powder. I gotta pick it up. Get a schmitter to the face, or however you pronounce it. So anyways, they're doing all this stuff. They raid the ship. It's a slave ship. And they're like, this is a new order. This is the new age for humanity. They tell the slaves, you're free. You can join our ship, and this is the deal. One man, one vote. We all work. We all get paid. Or we'll drop you off wherever you want to go. So some of the slaves were like, yeah, take us to wherever. And then the other slaves are like, dude, I got nothing going on at that place. I will become part of your crew. And so that became almost like a side mission for them. Their main quest was just to be pirates, but then they started attacking slave ships as almost like a side quest, freeing slaves. At this point, Captain Mission says, you know what? Put it to a vote. What do you guys think about forming a city? And everyone's like, yeah! So the boat sails along. They get to Madagascar. And they're like, this is a perfect place. Tropical paradise. There's a bunch of penguins here. Let's do this. So they start to set up this city. Now they meet with the local villagers who are already there. And because they seem to be so affable and they're just like, hey, we're not like super barbaric. We have like this commune, this new society we're trying to build. The villagers took to them very well. They start building what's known as Libertatia. It is to law enforcement, it is a pirate cove. It is a hideout where bandits go. But to the pirates of Libertatia, it was true freedom. They begin intermarrying with the villagers. The villagers are like, oh, this is totally dope. They're giving us like gold and stuff like that. They're really good neighbors. Sure, I'll let you date my daughter. And they start to really intermingle with the communities there. Everything's going perfectly swell. They end up, and this always is a philosophical question I gotta throw in here. So they end up building a home base, like a really sick pad. And then they rebuild their boat. Now, this is always that question. I don't know what the name of the boat is, but let's call it the Jolly Roger. If you had the boat, the Jolly Roger, and rebuilt it so in a year it wouldn't have one single nail or one single plank of wood or a single sail, or nothing is the same as when that ship was originally launched, is it still the Jolly Roger? I don't know. But anyway, so I just thought it was an interesting point that was in here. So everything's going great. They're getting riches. But what happened was eventually over the years, you are going to have problems, not in the internal community, but with another tribe. Because at the end of the day, everyone has their own boundaries in their territory, and your little country may be great, but another country may want what you have, or it may have a religious difference, or whatever. But there was a raid from another village onto Libertatia, and the priest, Captain Mission's best friend, and really the spiritual advisor, the person who started this whole thing, was killed. And at that point, Captain Mission was just like, we're gonna leave. Like, it was great while we were here, but my heart's just not in it anymore. Like, the town is dead. So the pirates who wanted to stay behind because they had families there could stay, because again, no, it was whatever you wanted to do. And Captain Mission took his boat, his brand new boat, or is it? Sailed off with his crew to continue their mission of robbing people and freeing slaves. And no one ever saw the boat again. It was either lost in a storm or sunk. But by all accounts, when Captain Mission left Libertatia for the last time, he was a shell of a man. The death of the priest really, really affected him. The death of the priest and his best friend, whose name I can't pronounce, really kind of crushed him. And in a way, ended this dream of his for a free world. Now, what's interesting is that there's no proof that that story ever existed. There are books written about it, and there's articles written about it around the time. It was a folk legend, and people have actually gone looking for the city of Libertatia. They don't know if it is a pirate's folktale. They don't know if it's a piece of fiction that someone in England made up. They don't know if it's partially true. There's no proof of it at all. But what's interesting about it is that they have found remains of like pirate bases in Madagascar, but they can't say for sure, oh no, this is Libertatia. So it would make sense because they were pirates. It's not like they were keeping, it's not like they had GoPros and they were recording everything. They weren't writing everything down. They were criminals at the end of the day. But it could have been real. And there was just no written documentation of it, and just stories were passed. As sailors and slaves came and went from Libertatia, the story would kind of grow, the myth would grow, and things like that. But it really, I think it's an interesting story, and it kind of talks about, like, it's a Robin Hood story on the high seas. He still was a pirate, though. He still did kill people, but Libertatia. Maybe someday they'll find proof of it. I don't know. But again, 17th century criminal headquarters. I don't think it was probably up to code. I think probably after a couple of years, everything either washed away or got stolen to build other buildings on the island and so on and so forth. But there are people still looking for it. So there's enough anecdotal evidence that the story is real. But we may never know. I wonder if they ever found Robin Hood's house. I've always heard that Robin Hood was kind of real, kind of based on a real person, but maybe not. but he would have had to live in a house somewhere. If there's a house, there's a drawing of a fox on it. Like, Robin Hood would have had to, like, chill out somewhere. It's funny to think that you could be walking through the woods in England, or Sherwood Forest, to be specific, I guess I should say, and you could be walking down the same path that Robin Hood was, like, brutally murdering people, and you would never know it. I wonder if his name wasn't actually... I wonder if that's where the word hood comes from, like a hoodlum, because you were like Robin Hood. That was a clip from our daily podcast, Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime news. If you want to hear the full episode that this clip came from, check the link below. Please like and subscribe. And hit that little bell, too. That does some magical stuff. Thanks, guys.